Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Live from the Plantation. I'm Spartacus 2.0, a.k.a. Jerry Metcalf, and with me, as usual, upstairs across the gallery on his own prison phone is Lucifer 777.
What up, though?
We have a special treat for you guys today. Today we have our first gender fluid interviewee or guest named Stacy, right here in the prison. And with that being
how are you
said,
doing today?
Doing great. We're doing great.
Definitely, most definitely.
Get us started,
Okay,
Seth. We're running low on time.
Yeah. Okay. All right, this is a short one. Question number one. Well, not even a question. Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, my name's Stacy. I gender fluid. I generally lean towards feminine or gender neutral pronouns. Like to dress like a girl. And my whole life though, until I got to prison, I really lived a more masculine role. Was, in the military, served some time as a veteran, and unfortunately now I'm in prison, so I have to deal with all that now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad that you brought that up, the part about being in prison, because that kind of rolls right into our next question, Stacy. Can you please explain to our listeners how truly rough prison is on a gender fluid person? Because I know it's fucked up for you. I live here with you.
Most definitely.
So on the LGBT community as a whole, it's pretty rough. Specifically, people who are transgender or gender fluid. It can be a lot harder because so much of it isn't just your sexuality and what you're attracted to. It's how you express yourself as a person. And when you're in prison, which is all men, and you want to portray yourself as a woman or as someone who's more feminine, that's something that's immediately seen by the rest of the prison population, prisoner and correctional officer. And you get a lot of harassment for that and a lot of misunderstanding and judgment for that.
For sure.
Yeah, most definitely.
For sure.
Most definitely.
When I was sitting out there talking with you at the table, we were out there for about an hour. And just in that little bit of hour that I was out there, I came in and I get jabbed at and poked at and people saying crazy shit. So I can't imagine your life living in here all day, every day. And I apologize for all of us for treating you that way.
For sure.
The world is fucked up. We truly apologize.
Most definitely. Sincerely. All right. Can you explain your experience before you began your transition and how you felt?
So, when I was younger, I sometimes liked, playing dress up with my siblings. I always wanted to wear kind of, the more girly outfits. And my parents were pretty okay with it. They're like, hey, kids be kids. They do whatever.
Let you express
yourself. When I got to school, now it started becoming an issue, because kids are mean. So I really kind of fell into more masculine roles. And, especially getting into middle school, high school, when you really start discovering your sexuality and your identity as a person, now it started becoming an issue because I had a desire to wear more feminine clothes, more bright colors, but in order to kind of suppress that, I kind of went with the whole goth thing and just wore black because black's a pretty gender neutral color. So I wore a lot of tight black clothes, and that was an excuse for me to wear eyeliner because whether you're male or female, goth kids wear eyeliner. So it wasn't an issue.
Right, most definitely.
That was smart, though.
Yeah. People didn't ask about it. But as I got older, that desire to wear more feminine clothing became more and more on the forefront of my mind, and I kept trying to suppress it. Well, when I got to prison, I figured, you know what? I've been suppressing who I am my whole life between having to go to Catholic school, where you have a very strict gender-based uniform, being in the military, which is military, for all gender, or for all intents and purposes, is fairly gender non-existent. You're a soldier first and foremost. You have a uniform, that's it, end of story. And so it really started becoming something. Once I got to prison, I was like, you know what? I don't have to cut my hair anymore. I can grow my hair out. I can identify how I want to be. I've suppressed myself for 20-something years. I'm not going to let prison do that to me too. I'm going to be who I am. I'm going to do my time, but I'm going to be who I am. I'm not going to hide that anymore.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything that should be inspiring to anybody listening to this. Sometimes you just got to step off the cliff and grab them on. I commend you.
Yeah,
that
take
takes
that
a lot
chance for
of
real.
courage. Yeah. And
For real.
Just so our listeners know, like you're a pretty gender fluid person. So when you walk through this prison, there's 1,200 people here, and you're like the one pretty fish swimming upstream, and everyone else is you know what I'm saying? Just so I mean,
yeah.
and there's sharks in the prison too. So I just want people to understand. Yeah, I just want them to understand the courage it took for you to do what you're doing. Okay.
Definitely. That's a big step.
So, real quick, so your listeners understand kind of roughly what I look like. I'm roughly 6 feet tall, slim in build, and I generally wear my hair in pigtails or a ponytail, and my hair's down to my waist. Don't have a whole lot of Caucasian people with long hair in prison. You have a few.
Yeah, none.
They're generally in their 40s or 50s. They're kind of more the hippie rocker look. I'm in my late 20s. I don't fit that mold.
Right.
See my long hair on the yard, you know exactly who I am.
Yeah. And tell them you wear eyeliner and lipstick and everything.
Exactly.
Definitely. It's powerful.
Real powerful.
It's powerful. It's powerful.
Right. Our next question to you, Stacy. What's one thing you'd like people to know about being gender fluid?
So something about being gender fluid is that this is a good question. Is that people who are gender fluid, because they do kind of deal with different pronouns on a regular basis, they can be fairly accepting when people use the wrong pronouns. I do like to go by feminine pronouns. People call me masculine pronouns all the time. I don't generally get offended. But if you can make that conscious effort to use the pronouns that someone prefers, I can't put into words how much that actually means to somebody.
It's a sign of respect.
It validates you as a person when you say, hey, this is how I identify. This is how I look at myself. I spent 15 minutes making my prison makeup. I spent another 5-10 minutes putting it on. I did my hair. I want to look incredibly feminine. And when someone then goes, hey, sir, how's it going? Kind of wonder why did I spend all that time and all that effort. But when they actually look at you as a woman, it means so much more.
Right.
And it does not go overlooked by me. I might not always say something in response, in appreciation, but I do always remember it.
And I think it shows that when we address you the way that you should properly be addressed, when I say she, I think it shows that I respect you.
Exactly.
There's a lot of people in prison who will just never respect you. We have religious nutballs in here that they do whatever the fuck their church tells them to. We have people in here who are just
stuck in their ways.
Homophobic or bigots or racist or whatever. We got all the fucked up isms in prison, more so than in the world. So, it's just something that you have to deal with. And again, once again, I commend you on your fucking courage. It's amazing to me.
Yeah, most definitely.
All right,
can't say it enough. Can't say it enough. Okay. All right. What about the NDOC staff? You've mentioned before a little bit about them, but would you care to explain?
So, I recently transferred to a new facility, and the new facility I'm at is great. I haven't had any issues with staff here. I do want that disclaimer. However, at the last facility I was at, I was there for about 4 or 5 years. And especially once I started going through the transition, there's a lot of red tape and paperwork involved with actually getting a medical diagnosis for your gender identity in the Michigan Department of Corrections. There's a lot of paperwork involved. And because it has to go through several different computer systems, you'll get your diagnosis from Lansing. But the correctional officers at your facility may not know about it. And so it becomes an issue. Okay, now that I have my diagnosis, I can do X, Y, and Z. But correctional officers see you on a regular basis, especially ones in the housing unit. And all of a sudden, they see you start acting a little bit different. And they're like, hey, inmate, come here. What's going on with you? And you're like, well, this is the deal now. And they're like, no, it's not. It's not in your file. It is in my file. Just you have. And so what happens a lot of times is you get a lot of harassment from staff, because out in the world, if you want to dress as a girl, people don't have to know about it. Only the people you see every day, not authority figures. Problem is, in prison, you see authority figures every day. And they're like, okay, no, you're a male inmate. Oh, all of a sudden you're a female inmate. I'm not okay with that. Now I can harass you because I have authority.
Right.
All right, we're back. And this next question, Stacy, is going to be a tough one, but we have to ask it. How many times has someone, POC staff included, attempted to rape you or molest you or do something to you sexually that you didn't want to happen?
Okay, well, that is a tough question. So inmate wise, it's definitely been more than a couple or a few. People started leaving me alone when I started cutting into them really heavy. I didn't care where you were. I didn't care if we were in the chow line. I didn't care if we were out on the yard. A lot of times how predators want to start, they just start with what they believe to be a casual, accidental, air quotes, accidental, brush on the buttocks or groin region. They just kind of gently touch you and kind of see how you react. You turn around, you say, hey, you do that again, there's going to be an issue. They like to immediately deny it because they don't want all their, a lot of these guys are affiliated with gangs. They don't want, the guys in their gangs to know about this. So, but it's definitely been a repeat issue, at least once, twice a month, if not more. You think about I've been down 4 or 5 years, 2 or 3 times a month at least, and that's toned down. You're talking at least, 40, 50, 60 different times that I've had issues with people.
That is
another big
up.
issue is with locking situations when you move to a room. And we got a rule in prison, snitches get stitches. So the problem is you get put into a room, you can't lock there. Like, man, this ain't gonna work. This is not a good situation. You have to go to your counselor, right? And you have to be like, hey, I gotta move. They always want to ask you, oh, well, why? I just gotta move. Well, are you in fear of your life? Well, you can't answer that question honestly.
Right.
Because if you say, yeah, I'm in fear for my life, word's going to get out. Or you're going to end up, oh, well, crap, we have to protect you. So now you go to protective custody. And if you go to protective custody, you get labeled a rat, you get labeled a bitch. And that's just not good for prison. You got to be able to stand up in prison. You always try to hide. People remember that. And it doesn't change when you go to another facility. You go to another facility, there will be someone there who knows you. There will be someone there. Oh, yeah, no, dude locked up. And they'll come up with all sorts of reasons why you locked up. And none of them true. Oh, he owes money. Next thing you know, you got guys pulling up. Oh, I heard that you owe dog money from over there, man. He's one of my bros. You got to pay me, all of a sudden money. I don't owe dude shit. Well, they don't like that answer.
Definitely.
So yeah, it comes from inmates, and it's hard because you say I got to move, and a lot of these counselors, especially for people, because if you're LGBT and you tell your counselor, it gets put in your file.
Right.
And I think for those types of people, you go up to your counselor and be like, hey, I got to move. People who are LGBT, who have dealt with these issues their entire prison bit, and people who have been down even longer and have dealt with this out in the world, before they came to prison, when they go to their counselor, they tell you, hey, I got to move. They're probably going to give you an idea of where to move them to. You can be like, hey, go move me in with dude. I've already talked to him about it. It's not an issue.
Yeah, someplace
The
safe.
thing is, they don't want to reward you. Like, oh, no. We're not going to put you where you want. Well, I'm trying to save you and me both the headache. Not only do I not want to deal with, okay, cool, so I left this, place where the dude was a gangbanger, so now I can't lock with him, but now you put me with a Muslim. Well, I have a lot of friends that are Muslims. I hang out with Muslims. But they do have a rule that you can't lock with people who are homosexual. So even though I'm friendly with them, I can't live with them. So you try to put me with you, so it comes back to the same issue. Hey, I got to move. I'm not trying to play roulette on where I end up. But the biggest issue, because you can deal with inmates, you can fight inmates, you can tell inmates basically to F off, like leave me alone. Problem comes from staff. Those are the ones you can't fix easily because they have authority, and the system is set up. You're a convicted felon. I don't know if you lied in your case, but you probably lied about something to cover yourself. That's probably why you're here. So we're not going to believe what the inmate says. We're going to believe what the correctional officer says, who might be a 19-year-old kid who's never had a real job and has no real integrity. I'm not saying all COs are like this. I know some really good COs. I know COs that they look at, man, this is a job. I'm going to treat these people like people, though. You do get some. But a lot of times, you get the bad ones where the system covers them. And I've had issues where correctional officers will try to get a squeeze or they'll make a comment. And what usually left me alone at the last facility is they started to learn that I'm not afraid to do paperwork. In the military, I was learning how to lead troops into combat. I'm not afraid to do paperwork. When correctional officers started seeing that I would do paperwork on other correctional officers, that usually protected me from the comments themselves. It protected me from issues of sexual assault. What it also did, though, was it put a target on my back.
Right.
So while they're not going to go and they're not going to force themselves on me, they're going to come into my room.
Retaliate.
They're going to smash up my TV. They're going to tear up my books. They're going to break my foot locker. I had one, he didn't break my guitar, but I had one that actually unstrung my guitar. He took all the strings off my guitar. He didn't take them all the way out. I was able to restring it, but they do the petty stuff. I had them come, and they'll come and they'll take the batteries out of my razor. They'll take. I had some paint that I used to do my nails. They took my paint. Now they don't say anything. They just come and they just take the little stuff. What they're trying to do,
they basically steal it, treat you like
they
shit.
steal. But what they do is they do the small stuff, and what they're hoping you do, because they don't call you to the desk, they don't write you a ticket for it. They're hoping that you blame your bunkie. They want you to blame the person you live with, because the hope is that you finally get fed up with it. You think that your bunkie is lying to you about stealing it, and that you fight them. That's what they want.
Yep. Yeah,
because it covers them, and then it labels you as an assaultive problem. And if you become an assaultive problem, now they can lock you with someone else who's also an assaultive problem. And they hope that you two just duke it out, even though that's not what happened. Now, lastly, when these guys were doing this, what they didn't realize, I'd already locked. These were new guys coming in from the academy. They didn't realize that I had already locked with this guy for over a year. Didn't realize that we shared store goods on a regular basis. Didn't realize that we both had kind of an open locker policy. Hey, if you need something, just grab it. Let me know later. COs didn't know that. So when they started taking the little shit, they didn't realize I immediately knew who it was. They thought I was going to blame my boss on it.
Yeah, they're trying to use old tricks.
Exactly. And the biggest issue, though, is comments. Because thoughts lead to words, and words lead to deeds. And they'll make side comments, they'll make sexually charged comments, they'll make homophobic comments. Problem is, correctional officers don't wear body cams. So, when you get into an issue, and I have plenty of issues that I've reported, where, oh, this CO said this to me. Do you have any witnesses? Yeah, and they never want to follow up with your witnesses. And if your witnesses are inmates, worthless. I had an issue with a CO, MDOC staff member. It was not a correctional officer. It was an administrative staff. Touched me inappropriately. And custody staff, correctional officers, they're allowed to touch you. They can pat you down. They can, hey, no, I got to search you. You're subject to search at any time. Other staff members are not allowed to touch you at all. They have to have a correctional officer come do it. So when this person touched, my back region, I was like, whoa, what are you doing? Like, there's no reason to touch me. I don't care if you think I have something in my pocket that I stole or whatever. You can't touch me. You have to go tell the CO to search me directly under the camera with 7 witnesses. And I was told there wasn't enough evidence.
Hey, Stacy.
Yep, because every one of those witnesses was an inmate.
I don't mean to cut you short, but we're out of time. So we got a little thing we do. We got a little thing we do when we close up. I'm going to ask you what we do here at Live from the Plantation. Your response is going to be, we break the chains, because that's what we do here. We break the chains. That's our motto. You ready?
Okay. Yep.
What do we do? What do we do here live from the plantation?
We break the chains.
Break the chains. Break the chains. Break the chains.
Break the motherfucking chains. Today we just happen to be doing it with our friend Stacy. Thank you for coming. We appreciate you coming along on this journey with us, and we're grateful. And I'm proud of your courage. You're one of the most courageous people I've met in a long time.
Powerful, man. Yo, yeah. It's a lot of shit on the plate, man. Tune in next week. Live from the plantation. You don't, you better be asleep. Get your ass up. Press play. Mona, don't play with me. Break the chains.